How y'all doing on this beautiful day? I got another story for y'all. This is a good story too. So when I was a kid, my grandmother used to watch a series of shows. Now, if you go over her house in the daytime, she watching the stories. I can't remember what stories she watched. She watched the soap operas, right? But at night, my grandma watched Walker, Texas Ranger. She watched Walker, Texas Ranger. She watched Matlock and a bunch of other stuff, right? But when I was a little kid, my grandmother used to always say, "There go my little Virgil Tibbs right there. There go my little Virgil Tibbs." And I'm smiling, a little chocolate joker. I don't even know what you're talking about. But when my grandma said that to me, I was happy, because my grandma showed that she loved me. So I'm starting to get older. Everybody remember that song. In the heat of the night, y'all. So I'm in there one day watching it with him. He said, "There you go right there. Yeah, you look just like that man. You look just like Virgil Tibbs." I'm looking, I'm like, "Well, this joke ugly, boy." But I ain't saying nothing, though. You know what I'm saying? I get a little older. I said, "Grandma." So what? I said, "Man, you used to call me Virgil Tibbs. You still my Virgil Tibbs." Like, "Grandma, Virgil Tibbs ugly. That man ugly, Grandma. That man ain't ugly." Man, let me tell you something. I thought my grandma gonna kick me out of the house, bro. My grandma, hey, you can't be talking about no Virgil Tibbs in the house now. I said, "Grandma, that man ugly. That man ain't, that's a fine grand. That's a fine man. That's a good looking man. What you talking about ugly? Man ain't ugly. You ain't ugly, you just like him." Needless to say, I shut up and just took the compliment. My grandma called me Virgil Tibbs. And she called me that all the way up until her death. I miss my grandma. She kept the family together. If any of y'all remember my grandma on Bernie Street, Grandma Fat, Miss Fat, Mary, whatever y'all called her, I call her grandma. My grandma had a lot of kids and a lot of grandkids. She had a lot on her plate. But my grandma called me Virgil Tibbs, man. And I had to go ahead and accept that. So now, when I watch Any Heat of the Night, I watch her just because of what she used to say to me. I watch it with that love and that nostalgia feel of me being that little kid running through my grandma's house and she calling me Virgil Tibbs, man. And y'all better not come in on this thing till I look like that man either. But yeah. And she wasn't talking about Sidney Poitier Virgil Tibbs, the movie Any Heat of the Night. She was talking about the show. But some of y'all ain't know it's a different movie. But story time, man. I got a bunch of stories, y'all. I got a bunch of stories. Shout out to my grandma, man. Story time. I'm gonna tell y'all a story, man. That's funny. There's three things my grandma always had at her house: love, food, and a bunch of fucking cousins, right? Got a bunch of them jokers. But one thing my grandma never had was something to drink. She never had no drinking, though. Never. So, one day I went over to my grandma's house. This was one of those days where I thought maybe she had something to drink in her. So we run around in the hot sun. We come in the house and say, "Grandma, you got something to drink?" "Yeah, I got some good old city punch in there." Let me tell you something about people that's from the country or people that's older. If they put good old in front of something, be careful with that word. So she said, "I got some good old city punch in the kitchen." So I go in the kitchen, I'm smiling. I don't think I heard was punch. So I'm looking in the refrigerator, I'm looking around, I don't see nothing. I said, "Grandma, where the city punch at?" "Right there in that faucet. I pay the city every 3 months for that punch." She said, "Right there in the faucet. I pay the city every 3 months for that punch." I said, "Water?" She said, "Yeah, that's city punch, water." You talking about being mad? I was hot. But you can't say nothing crazy to your grandma. I'm not no respectful grandchild anyway. But couldn't say nothing to grandma, man. I was hot, wow. I had my mouth ready for some punch. I'm thinking tropical punch, fruit punch, any kind of punch other than some city. Yeah, I learned a value blessing that day. Grandma ain't got nothing in her house but some water. And my grandma had the sinks where it was like the hot water in one sink and the cold water in one faucet. You got to turn the top of it. And when you turn it, the pipe shake and a big orange glob come out before the water come out. Yeah, that was my grandma said. You turn that cold water on, you got to let it shake first. Then that orange glob will fall out. And then the clear crystal water come out. And we'll duck our head up on that thing and drink. We ain't know no better. I'm disgusted by that now. We ain't know no better. So if you ever trying to get somebody, Tell me you got some city punch in there in the kitchen. Tell me you got some of that good old city punch. Story time, people. I'm gonna tell y'all about this story right here, man. It's almost making me laugh because it's hard for me to say it. But when I was a youngin', my mama went and got me a car. I was 16 years old. I ain't gonna tell y'all what year that was, but people that know. When they got a car. I'm happy I got this car too. Got me a little white Escort, you know what I'm saying? You know, no more getting picked up at school. I'm driving on, you know what I'm saying? So I go to my grandma's house. She's down Burning Street in West Springville. If you're from the upstate, you know what I'm talking about. So my family and everybody pretty much associated with my family, I always been hustlers. I always been money givers. Like, that's just the way it is, right? So I go to my grandma's house. I pull up, you know what I'm saying? Grandma happy I got a whip, you know, my cousin showing me love. I sit on the porch, I sit next to the dude. He not my family, but he family, you know what I'm saying? I sit beside him. Fuck it, let me say this now. I sit beside Jeff, right? I'm chilling, man. I'm sitting beside Jeff. And Jeff said, "That's your car?" I said, "Yeah." And Jeff had him something nice, you know. Jeff getting bread, you know what I'm saying? Jeff said, when he said, "When your car go down the street, I want you to tell me who's driving it." So my grandma stayed on Bernie, so the street was very busy. I said, "What do you mean tell them who driving my car when I see it?" You know, because Escort at the time is very popular. So I'm chilling on the porch, about 5-10 minutes go by, I see my car pass by. I said, "There go my car right now." He said, "Who was driving it?" I said, "A woman?" He said, "That's right, boy. You got a girl car." Mess me up. I mean, all my momentum, everything just died. I was like, and I couldn't say nothing back about his car because he had a nice car, and I was good at talking trash. I'm good at that, but I couldn't say nothing because though he older than me, he got more money than me, and he got motion. I couldn't say nothing, right? So I'm just like, man. So I'm like red. I cried when I got in the car, right? So I get in the car, I'm driving. Then I just get upset. I say, "Well, I hope I get into a wreck." Be careful what you ask for. I went down Hampton and Pinckney. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Went down Hampton and Pinckney. I was watching him, and this woman hit me. Bam! Hit my car. She yelling at me. What was you thinking? I'm like, "Woman, you hit my car. You hit me on my door." You know what I'm saying? Police ruled in her favor because I had no license. And y'all was 16 with no license, still drive, like Wayne said. But anyway, I had to go to court. Went to court. Judge ruled in my favor. So just know this. No matter what the officer say, you go to court, the judge ruled in my favor. So my morning got me a Ford Taurus, right? So I got the red Taurus. I put up at school. You know, the tension is a little different when I got the Taurus, right? I went from a little compact to a full-size car, you know what I'm saying? So I pulled me around on grandma's house. My cousin said, "That's your car?" I said, "Yeah." Same one that picked at me now. He's okay. All right. I looked at him. I said, "I thought you getting the act." Back in the day, they called Acros act. I said, "I thought you were getting the act." He said, "You'll see what I get. You'll see what I get." So I'm like, I ain't seen the act yet. He kept talking about getting the act. So, you know, I'm trying to get back at him, right? This joker on pulled up in a Lincoln Navigator on some folds. Now, Lincoln Navigators are still nice vehicles, but back then, if you seen somebody on Lincoln Navigator on some folds, man, you be like, "Lord." He pulled up in that Navigator, probably like a couple days later. I couldn't say nothing to him, but dang, bro, because of getting that bread. So, people don't always get body shame, man. I got car shame. But it motivated me to want something else. But I should have stayed appreciative of what I had, but I was young, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And that Navigator was nice. So me and Cuzzo, we was driving that Navigator through Miami on South Beach. That Navigator wasn't nothing out there, but we was seeing Bentleys and Lamborghinis and Ferraris for the first time. That Navigator was nothing on South Beach, but here in Greenville, that Navigator was everything, man. But yeah, man, that's one of my stories, and I got a bunch of them, man. Shout out to Jeff, man. Shout out to, I ain't talked to him in a minute. You know what I'm saying?